got the duties tonight, and we've got Ty Bailey in house doing our phones. Chris Saxton is our studio engineer. Joel will be giving us our 8-man report later on the evening. Noah Crow, we're expecting him a little bit later on, helping us with scores. And Russ Robinson's missing in action, the star of the show. Joel is he's had a ball game tonight and had kind of a tough week, so he may be taking the night off.
Yeah, it was a good trip for them for prep though. So,
yeah, they went to PCS tonight. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. But we'll be on the air for the next 2 hours talking about high school football in the state of Mississippi. And, you know, we've got a whole lineup of callers that we expect to call in. But if you'd like to give us a call and tell us about your game or give a report, we'd love to hear from you. The number to call is 1-877-MPB-RING. That's 1-877-672-7464. And we, of course, are broadcasting tonight on public broadcasting, our MPB stations that literally cover the state of Mississippi. And we're glad to have you alongside. Joel, it's one of those nights where, you know, this is, well, the way I count it, it's week 10.
Week 10, yeah.
Now, you know, we get confused about that, but we have 14 weeks that we do this show. This is week 10.
Yeah.
We've got one more regular season game for some of the larger schools, and then they get into playoffs. But we've got playoffs tonight.
Yeah, we got 8-man playoffs tonight too. So I'll talk about that at 11:30. But we have some for lower MAIS score. Yeah, we have playoffs tonight, so it's interesting.
Right, not for 6A. MAIS,
yeah.
but it gets real confusing.
It does get confusing.
Some are in playoffs, some are not.
Yeah.
And another thing is kind of interesting. You know, Will Watson does our spreadsheets that we look at, and they're like 128 games, which is down a little bit. Normally, a normal week we'd have about 150, but some schools have finished their season.
Yeah.
So we're down to 128 games, but 62 games were scheduled for last night. Now, not all of them occurred last night,
right?
But there were 62 games scheduled last night, 68 tonight. Well, actually, 66. So, you know, it's kind of unusual, but and I asked some questions, and most of the basic answer I got back, well, what was an officiating type thing, or, you know, some people wanted to get ahead of the rain, perhaps. It didn't rain tonight, but it could have. So anyway, but we've got a lot of things to talk about. We were expecting, of course, Kerry Metzler from Picayune to give us a call. We'll hear a report from Warren Central, Brandon Davis. We're expecting him to call. Jared Schatz from Germantown. Joseph Craven from Hartsville. Of course, they were playing MRA tonight, so we want to hear about that. But anyway, we've got a ton of calls that we're expecting throughout the evening. This first 15 minutes or so, we're going to talk about games that either were played tonight or were played last night. So we'll kind of get into that. But
George, we do have a couple callers on the line, so we
Okay.
can. Philip Palmer Tree is on, and Ty Boyles is on. But why don't you go ahead and get a bunch of scores, and then we'll move to one of them after you've given some of the scores from tonight.
Sure. Okay. Let's start off with games tonight. This was a good matchup. Bay Springs and Taylorsville won by Bay Springs by the score of 36-20. Clinton traveled to Tupelo, and this was sort of almost for the district championship in effect, but Tupelo is just outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, Tupelo beat Clinton tonight by the score of 35-7. But, you know, that only means that Tupelo's given up, I think, maybe 53 points all season long. But Tupelo beat Clinton 35-7. South Haven over DeSoto Central by the score of 35-6. This was a fourth quarter score. Ocean Springs and Gulfport. Ocean Springs has had a great season.
Yeah.
Probably maybe the top team in the South right now in 6A. They defeated Gulfport 58-33. South Panola over Horn Lake 49-13. Lafayette defeated Greenville 55-22. Columbus edged Lake Cormorant 15-14. It was Stone over Bay High 35-0. Lewisburg beat Olive Branch 28-14. Madison Central had no trouble with Murrah, winning 42-0. Neshoba Central edged Callaway 21-13. We haven't talked about Callaway that much this year. That's only their second loss.
They've been kind of under the radar.
They really have been under the radar. Okolona, Biggersville played Okolona. Now that's about as Mississippi as you get.
Yeah.
Biggersville beat Okolona 64-8. Pascagoula over St. Martin 50-14. Oak Grove over Pearl 49-14. Picayune, we'll hear from Kerry in just a little while, but 49-13. Picayune over Long Beach. Let's see. In the third quarter, this is the last report I had. Starkville. This was a good matchup. Starkville and Germantown, and Starkville was leading Germantown 26-14 in the third quarter. Fourth quarter score: Warren Central was ahead of Petal 24-21. Now Petal had only won 3 games,
right,
and had a tough district. They just have had really no luck. They have not won a district game.
Yeah. And
Warren Central's had a great season, but Warren Central was only leading by 3 last report in the fourth quarter. That's probably over by now.
Yeah.
Van Cleve beat West Harrison 42-18. And one final I'll throw in there, Russ's game, Jackson Prep defeated PCS, Presbyterian Christian, by the score of 49-13.
Yeah.
So
Philip Palmertree, talk about Leak Academy.
Okay.
Here he is.
Welcome to the show. You're reporting in on Leak, is that correct?
Yeah,
Phillip?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
First round, the MAIS 5A playoffs, and this was a 7 versus 10 seed, Starkville and Leak playing up in Starkville.
Okay.
And, these teams met in week 3 of the season. Starkville just clobbered Leak 39-7. And tonight in the playoffs, Leak turns the tables, beats them by almost the same score, 41-7.
Wow. I've heard it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same year. I'm sure you've heard that too. But to have that flip-flop of the score, that's really unusual.
It is. And pre-game interview with Coach Brian Pickens, he said, the great advantage of playing somebody the second time is you get to go back and look at the film and see what you did wrong, and you get the chance to come back and fix it. And they certainly did tonight.
Wow. Who does Leak? I mean, where will they go from here? Who will they play next?
Sure. This was a 10-seed Leak team beating the 7, so they've got to play the 2, and that's Copiah Academy. So
Okay.
the Rebels Gallman next Friday night. Copiah had the week off, so they've got the bye. This is a rematch of semifinal game in last year's playoffs. Copiah upset Leak last year, and so maybe it's a revenge tour for Leak Academy.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, thank you for calling in, Philip. We appreciate that, and best of luck for Leak next week.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
You want to slip Ty Boyles in real quick?
Yeah, let's do that. Ty, Crystal Springs. I can't remember who Crystal Springs was playing tonight. Was it McGee?
We played McGee last night.
Oh, last night. How did that turn out?
We lost 55-6.
Ooh, okay. I know Crystal Springs had gotten off to a pretty good start, and they've ran into kind of a buzzsaw in the last few weeks of the season. Was the game at Crystal Springs?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, it just sounds like McGee's got a pretty good football team.
Well, yeah, they did, and they just ran all over us.
Well,
And matter of fact, they knocked us out of the playoffs, going up for a chance going into the playoffs.
okay.
With that win last night.
All right. Well, does Crystal Springs have one more game?
No, we're done.
Okay, you're done. Okay. Well, all right. Well, sorry to hear about that. I know that. What was Central Crystal Springs' final record, season record?
4-6.
4-6. Okay. Well, I know they got off to a pretty good start there, but it was just like I say, tough sledding down the stretch. But were they you expecting a better team next year?
I hope so. I'm hoping with redistricting this coming up this next year, I'm hoping we do have a good team.
Okay. All right. Well, Ty, we appreciate your loyalty, and we appreciate you calling in every Friday night. Give us your sign off.
Go Dogs, hook 'em hard.
All right. Thank you, Ty. All right. That's Ty Boyles and calling in for Crystal Springs. And
Yeah.
Joel,
Well, like you said, they took one on the chin.
they took one on the chin. I mean, McGee's got a good football team.
Yeah, they really do.
But that, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Appreciate Ty calling in. And, of course, he always gives us the Go Dogs, but they've got the week off. I'm not sure about Texas.
I don't know who Texas plays tomorrow.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I think
I'm
State
not
has
sure.
the week off.
Yeah, they have the week off.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of games from last night, let's run over a few of those scores. Let's see. Amory defeated Nettleton by the score of 51-0. Canton defeated Provine 21-14. Saw some clips on that on the news last night. Provine's had a pretty good year. They finished the season 4-5. Choctaw County beat Calhoun City 42-24. Columbia over Lawrence County 41-12. It was Baldwin shutting out East Union 37-0. Enterprise defeated Forest 34-6. A close game. Collins edged Heidelberg by the score of 30-27. Louisville shut out Kosciuszko by the score of 28-0. These were all Thursday night games. Also, Mendenhall beat Northeast Jones 27-7. I know we're going to get into your 8-man report a little bit later on in the evening, but you were telling me some interesting news kind of coming in. You were talking about
the realignments for
the
MAIs.
the realignment, and also, but you were telling me that I guess it's not 11:30, but we can let the cat out of the bag. You said Sharkey-Issaquah had to cancel their game tonight because of the flu.
Yeah, it was a forfeit win for Riverdale Academy. They move on to face Wilkinson County next week.
Yeah.
That was one of their 2 losses earlier in the season. But, it was a tough break for Sharkey-Issaquah. They had a flu out. It was a flu outbreak for them, and it was a score of 18-0 forfeit, which is not a good way to end your season, obviously. But it's a sad loss for the seniors, but, I mean, tough break right there.
Why in the world is it 18?
I need to ask
You
that.
said in the old days it was 2-0.
2-0.
I don't know why it's 18. Okay, well that's
official 8-man rule for forfeit is 18-0. I need to ask the why about that, but
okay.
But I think it's the same for
I've seen that
11-man.
Yeah, I've seen
it's
that.
all. We need to find that out.
Yeah, I will.
I have no
Maybe
idea
Dr.
what
Dave
that is.
can find
well,
it.
I'm sure if it's possible to find it out, he can.
I could also talk to Coach Dendy tonight about it because he's going to be on at 11:30. So
okay, all right. And you were telling me the reclassification.
Right.
One of the schools that we follow a good bit, Manchester from Yazoo City, you said maybe moving up.
Yeah, there's rumors of them moving up for the 3A to play 11-man, and there's also, and I got this information from Noah the other day that via Brandon Shields' Twitter account that Park Place is going to move down to play 8-man, but in every other sport they're MAIS 5A.
What? Now that's
interesting.
That's an interesting contract.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in other games Thursday night, we had Pelahatchie over Puckett by the score of 40-16. Macomb defeated Raymond by the score of 32-14. Now this was a good game. Raleigh, who was 9-1 or 8-1, facing Hazelhurst, who was 9-0, and Raleigh, who'd the only loss they had this year was to MRA, and but they rallied to beat Hazelhurst last night, 36-34. So Raleigh is now 9-1 on the season. That was a very big win for them.
Interesting game too. Close game.
Another game that was some interest, Scott Central and Velma Jackson. Scott Central doubled up Velma Jackson by the score of 42-21, and they're now 8-2 on the season. Velma Jackson is now 5-4. So that's just some of the games, some of the games from last night. We'll give you some more scores on that later on, but we're here until we're here to 12. And we've got a lot of people that we've got lined up and calling, so we're expecting to hear from them. But if you'd like to give us a call, you can always call us at 1-877-MPB-RING, and we're talking about high school football in the state of Mississippi. It's time for a break.
It is time for a break.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back in just a few moments on Friday night Under the Lights.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
With my Cricket plan, everything is consistent. It's always going to be the same price. No worries.
Cricket is easy, it's affordable, customer service is top-notch. That's why I've been with them for so long.
I got my phone from Cricket and it's amazing. As a journalist, I use it for basically everything.
Great phones, great deals. Now that's a story. Smile, you're on Cricket.
When you hear the words blue sky, it means clear sailing. When you stop at a Blue Sky convenience store to fill you or your vehicle up, it'll also be clear sailing. Fuel at competitive prices and a total convenience store with the beverages and your favorite foods that you'll come back for. When you stop at Blue Sky, it means clear sailing. Blue Sky wants you to have a great holiday season and hopes that you enjoyed today's game. Blue Sky, fast, fresh, and friendly.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Get your school on the network now. And welcome back once again to Friday Night Under the Lights. George Broadstreet and Joel Norris here with you tonight, sort of filling in for Russ Robinson and others. But we're glad to be here, and we'll be here until midnight tonight talking about Mississippi high school football. And we have a report on the line. Brandon Davis is calling in about Warren Central. Brandon, tell us, Warren Central is playing Petal tonight. Tell us about that game.
Well, George, man, good to hear from you, and good to hear, you talking about filling in. We went deep in the bullpen tonight. For me, I filling in for Reed Vance on the radio, and
right.
We came down here to Petal to take on the Panthers. I'm going to tell you, for their record, it's very misleading, very salty bunch. They actually took a 14-7 lead in the first half. Warren Central was very fortunate to tie it up at 14 apiece going into halftime, and come out in the second half, like I said, Fennel, that defensive line is legit. They had two players, the nose guard and then the Michael kid, the tackle, I think he's playing the Bernard Blackwell game. They both were legit and gave us fits all night. But in the end, Warren Central came away with a 31-21 win. We had to rely on a fourth down touchdown run of about 24 yards from Trey Hall to get it. We had about 30 seconds left on the clock, and very fortunate to get the first down and went on in for the touchdown. But a hard-fought win. It does give us a playoff spot. Very happy for that. And just glad to be able to come down here and get this win on a long ride on Friday night.
Right. Well, Petal, Joel and I were talking about this just a few moments ago, but, Petal hadn't won a district game this year. I mean, but they've been in a lot of games. They just haven't won. Right. But, Warren Central, I'm sure they're glad to get that 10-point victory.
Yeah, and I talked with Mark Easley before their game, a great radio guy down here for Petal. And when I was studying for this Petal team, I could not figure it out. They got the Bailey kid transferred in from Biloxi at quarterback. He struggled a little bit throwing interceptions, but Ryan Poole at running back is one of the hardest runners I've seen in high school football in Mississippi this year. And the offensive line did really well. They said they had some inconsistencies on that line throughout the year, but they played really hard tonight, and they were opening up some really wide gashes on the left side, getting 6-7 yards a carry, and they gave us fits tonight. And it was really it's so strange of how they haven't won a region game, because they are well coached for one, they play hard, and they have talent, but it's just one or two plays here or there that they were missing out on. And you know that whole staff has to be frustrated with that. But those kids played hard, and they didn't have to. You know, they're playing for pride right now, but hats off to them. This was a much harder win than we probably expected. It was good for us because, we didn't come in overlooking anyone. Don't misunderstand me. But, this was an eye-opening game for us that anybody can get you on any night.
Absolutely. Well, now, Warren Central, that was a kind of an odd district because going into tonight, Oak Grove, Brandon, Warren Central, and Northwest Rankin all had the district record of like 4-1. So you really don't know who you've got next week.
Well, we've got Meridian on Thursday.
Okay.
And, listening, I think you guys announced it. So Oak Grove and Brandon both won tonight. So you got a 3-way tie at 5-1 right now. So next week things will really shake out. But who knows? I mean, we could be a 1 seed or we could be a 3 seed.
Right. Okay.
So who knows?
All right. Well, Brandon, thanks so much for the report. We appreciate you calling in, and we'll be talking to you or Reed maybe next Friday or we'll talk to you next Friday night about Warren Central. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, great having me. Y'all take care.
Okay.
Kerry
All right.
Metzler.
Kerry Metzler, Picayune. Kerry, George Broadstreet, and Joel Norris. Picayune wins number 10 tonight. Is that right?
Okay, hang on just a second.
All right, we're waiting.
Now he's on.
Okay, Kerry, have we got you now?
Yeah, Chris, good job hitting that red button.
My apologies.
Yeah, well, that's okay. But Picayune looked like they rolled tonight over Long Beach.
Yeah, they did. George got off to a great start, 42-0 at the half, hot clock second half. They win at 49-13. I think the Tide ran maybe 27 offensive plays tonight, but still on the roll as of late. But it'll get interesting, as you would say, next week. The Tide will be at home playing for the region championship against the Gaucher Ball Club that's also unbeaten in region. Of course, they've got the great athlete, Caden Irvin, the Ole Miss baseball committee's a multi-sport athlete. They've got some great receivers. It'll be, they're I'll say this, they're wide open passing attack against our running attack from offensive. And, of course, our defense has played well all year. And it'd be a big challenge for us next week to play a very talented, very highly explosive offensive team from Gaucher next week for the region title. They've only lost one game this year, and that was early in the year to Wheeler Thrills Pro Ryan Rams. I believe the only game they lost.
Wow.
The region.
Okay. I'd not seen a score, but you say Gaucher beat Pearl River Central tonight, I assume.
Yeah, I think it was 35-0. I think that's what I saw in the final on that one.
Okay.
So, it'll be quite an atmosphere next week playing for that region title. You look at our region, and of course, East Central is locked in. They've got a playoff spot. Next week, it could come down to West Harrison trying to play their way in, depending on how they did tonight in their game with Van Cleve. And then you look on the other side, and Mike Peterson and his Harrisburg Tigers, and they've won out since they lost the first 4 non-region games. They're unbeaten with their win. And, that side, you've got 4 quality teams, West Jones, Wayne County, Laurel, and, of course, Hattiesburg. So, of course, we match up with that region here in a couple of weeks. But still a tough one next week playing at home against Gaucher, the title of the play.
Yeah. You said something interesting a few minutes ago. Did you say the Maroon Tide, did you say they ran just 27 plays?
I think I corrected it. It may have been a few more. It was right at 27 plays.
Okay, so they scored 49 points. So that means they scored 7 touchdowns?
Yeah,
so they must have scored 7 touchdowns in 27 snaps. That's pretty efficient there.
Yeah, three of the drives I think we scored on the first play. In fact, the first offensive snap for us in the game, Chris Davis, our junior tailback / defensive back / kick returner / punter. He's quite the athlete. We call him Quick Chris because he's pretty fast. And anyway, first time he touched it tonight, 51 yards for a touchdown to get the Tide off to a good start. Brady Robinson threw 3 touchdowns tonight for the Tide, junior quarterback. He's a very solid quarterback. He runs our offense well. He's a young man who he loves playing Picayune. If he played in an offense where they threw it 25 times a game, he'd probably complete 20 of them. He's very accurate. He's a southpaw, good size young, and throws it well. We got some good receivers. It's something I think as the Tide moves further down the line, start next week and in the playoffs, we've thrown it this year, and you'll see it throw a little bit more when the time comes, and also sometimes before people expect it. I think that's one element this team's got. Very, very tough defense, but very balanced on offense. Of course, you got that L who sat out the night resting of not even call it injury, just a little nagging something, make sure he's 100%. Next week, you got quick Chris Davis. You got a fullback, Darnell Smith. He's a pro community college commit. Davis pretty much going where he wants to go. You've got the Oregon committed Dell, and then you got Robinson, who's just a really, really quality junior quarterback. But it's the defense that makes this team go. I mean, they're very, very tough defensively, and they'll be challenged next week. Look, Gaucher and Irvin, they will be a huge challenge for us next week in that ball game.
Okay. Well, Kerry, we look forward to hearing the report about Picayune and Gaucher next week. Thanks for joining us.
Always, George, my pleasure. Say hello to Russ when he gets up.
All right. We sure will. Thank you.
Got Chris Everhard to talk about Brandon.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of Brandon reports this week or this year. Chris, what's the report on Brandon this week?
Well, I'm still trying to regain some minutes back on my life because we had a nail biter down in Brandon, down Highway 18 tonight. And first, I always want to give credit when we play a really good team. Northwest is a really good football team. And Brandon ends up winning late 34-26. They actually went for two. They went for two with about 3.5 minutes left to go. And I don't know if it was because they didn't trust the kicker or if he wanted to make them go for two, but it was a gutsy call by Sam Williams, who's very aggressive, worked out in their favor. But Northwest actually was driving all the way down the field. They got a 1st and goal inside the 7-yard line. A couple penalties pushed them back, and Brandon was able to step the defense up late, and come up with the sack on 3rd down, and then batted the ball down on the 4th down play to win the ball game. 34-26.
Wow. Northwest Rankin had gotten off to a really slow start. I mean, they lost, I can't remember, they lost the first couple of ball games, but they've really come on toward the end of the year. And really, that's quite impressive. They had a district record of 4-1 going into this. So they really got their act together toward the end of the season.
Well, and credits due. I mean, they were 4-1, a 4-way tie. For first place going into the ninth. Of course, it's still a 3-way tie. And as y'all spoke about just a second ago, Brandon has a point differential over Warren Central. So if Warren Central wins next week at Meridian, I do believe, correct, yes, then, and Brandon holds on to win against Pearl, then Brandon will get the number 1 seed. However, if Oak Grove, who plays Northwest next week, anybody can win that ball game, it could completely change, and they could go to a 2 or 3 seed because they have a 2 seed because they had the loss against Oak Grove last week. So still, it's going to come down to a few games next week to decide any position. No positions locked up. You have the 4 teams that are locked up pretty much in the region. It's going to be Northwest, Brandon, Oak Grove, and my mind just went blank. Warren Central, excuse me. So
right.
They're all locked in. So, but want to give credit where credit's due real quick for Nate Blunt tonight. Nate Blunt had a little over 250 yards rushing with 5 touchdowns, and that gives him 12 in 2 years against Northwest, but close to 500 yards rushing.
Wow. Brandon had such they got off to such a strong start. The last couple of weeks, they've had some challenging ball games, haven't they?
They have, and of course, that Region 3, strong as usually as it always is. Had a freak injury last week. We found out later this week that our starting running back Jarvis Jarrett's out for the year.
Oh no!
He slipped on the second play of the game last week against Oak Grove and fell on his elbow, dislocated it. Ended up having surgery yesterday, and pretty much out for the rest of the year. So that's a tough stretch for Brandon. Brandon just couldn't get it together last week against Oak Grove. Oak Grove played really, really well. But Brandon's getting challenged here late in the season. And, some people look at it as Brandon's not as good as they say they are. We'll go back and I'm going to bring this up, is really the only team that's done it, and I'll say our lifetime, or at least that I can remember, is South Panola. I mean, nobody just kind of wipes their opponents out all the way through. You hit those hiccups, you hit those challenging games where you have to win games close, and I think that builds character as a team going forward, especially late in the season, in the playoffs where everything does matter at that point.
Right. Chris, thank you so much for the report. We got to run. We've got a break to get in, but thank you for that report on Brandon.
Absolutely, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's time to take a break, and we'll be back in just a few moments with more Friday Night Under the Lights.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
People who come to Cricket, stay with Cricket.
I love how Cricket has no hidden fees, no hidden charges. It's just predictable.
With Cricket, I can stay in touch with my grandson as much as I want without being concerned that my bills go up.
The 5G is like fast. It makes sharing photos of our projects and video calls super easy.
Switch for the speed, stay for the savings. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Every day at Malone, we exist to improve our community, embracing technology, empowering people, striving to be better than yesterday. Malone Roofing Services and Friday Night Under the Lights have been impacting Mississippi for decades with the skill and dedication that has developed lasting relationships in our respective fields. For roofing, metal walls, and maintenance, Malone Roofing Services has you covered. Find out more on social media and at ecmalone.com. But for great football, it's Friday Night Under the Lights.
Get your school on the network now.
I started at 23 with nothing but me. And I believe roofing should be a profession and a career. Generations of Malones have proven that there is nothing we can't accomplish. Malone protects people and your things that matter most.
And welcome back. Friday Night Under the Lights. George Broadstreet here with you tonight, along with our 8-man guru, Joel Norris. Ty Bailey's on the phones. Noah Crow's helping us with scores. Chris Saxton's our studio engineer. And glad to be filling in tonight. Well, not sort of filling in.
Yeah.
We're regulars.
Yeah.
Just the star of the show, Russ, is taking the evening off.
We're the
think.
sidekicks.
Well,
yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess that's what it is.
Sidekicks, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're moving along. We've had a lot of good calls so far, and I believe we have Jared Schatz on the phone from calling in for Germantown. Jared, you with us?
Hey, guys. How are y'all tonight?
Hey, we're good. The last report I had, it was a close ball game. Starkville was ahead late in the game. How did that game turn out with Germantown?
Well, guys, it did not turn out very well for Germantown, at least. It was knotted up at 14 at halftime. You could tell Starkville was the better team, but Germantown had a pick six to knot things up, and we thought we could play with them. And then we threw a pick six to start the second half. They reeled off 32 unanswered and win the game 36-14. So Yellow Jackets awfully good. We hung with them. I think they're playing their best football at the right time. And if you haven't seen their quarterback in Trey Petty, he's only a junior. You will know his name by next year. This guy's outstanding. If you ever watch Alabama play, he reminds me of Bryce Young. He just kind of sits back there, and it's like a point guard. He just stands back there and plays backyard football and picks you apart. And I tell you, the Yellow Jackets haven't clinched that 4th spot yet. I'll have to see what Brandon Shields comes out with on the playoff scenario. We had a chance to win tonight. We would have had the 4th seed, but it looks like Starkville's going to get it. I can tell you 2 teams I would not want to play. Of course, Tupelo and Clinton, but Madison Central and Starkville are 2 teams that are going to upset some people in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really kind of Tupelo is kind of head and shoulders above, I think, everybody else in that district. Clinton's going to get in there somewhere, Madison Central, and you're right. I mean, Germantown and Starkville winning that game tonight probably is going to push them into the playoffs. But did I hear you say that right? I mean, it was 14-14 at the half. And
it was 14-14, yeah, and then they just reeled off 32 unanswered. We got the football to start the second half through a pick six, and honestly, that was kind of the end of our playoff hopes with that pick six because we couldn't get off the mat. And here's the deal, guys. We play Tupelo next week, so it's one of those where we're not mathematically eliminated, but we better get right with God before we go to Tupelo.
Yeah, they've really been rolling, and they just don't give up hardly any points at all. But, looking at Germantown, Germantown hasn't been in 6A that long. Is that correct?
That's right. Right. This is the 4th year.
Okay.
They never made the 6A playoffs.
Okay.
We were really turning some heads because we got a first-year coach in Russ Mitchell, did an outstanding job as the OC at Oak Grove. And, look, we beat some good teams this year. We beat Vicksburg. We beat Oxford, we beat Grenada, and we were peaking. And the problem is this district will just humble you up pretty quick week to week.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely one of the toughest districts in 6A football for sure. But Germantown, that makes them now 7-3, I believe, on the season.
Well, they moved to 5-5 overall and 3-3. So
okay.
Across the board, they would have to have a miracle win next week, and I think Starkville would have to lose. So that pretty much ended the playoff hopes. But look, Germantown ahead of schedule under first-year coach Russ Mitchell, so it should be a fun ride in the future.
I would agree, and that's a beautiful school up there. Got great facilities, outstanding students. So I think the future is very bright for Germantown.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, Jared. Appreciate the report.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
We've got 2 or 3 other callers, but do you want to get some more scores in?
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a bad idea, Chris. Appreciate the studio direction there. This was a big game. Bay Springs defeated Taylorsville by the score of 36-20. It was South Haven defeating DeSoto Central 35-6. We talked about Tupelo a minute ago. They beat Clinton 35-7. The last report I had, I don't have a final. Ocean Springs was leading Gulfport late, like 58-33. That's Russ's game. He would like that. South Panola over Horn Lake 49-13. Lafayette beat Greenville 55-22. Columbus edged Lake Cormorant 15-14. Bay High, actually Stone defeated Bay High 35-0. And Lewisburg beat Olive Branch 28-14. Who we got, Chris?
We got Cliff Barker, who I don't have a note as who he's talking about, but he will tell you, I'm sure. Cliff Barker.
Hey, Cliff, who you calling in? Give us a report on.
Tri-County.
Tri-County.
Tri-County. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, Tri-County, tell us who were they playing tonight? I don't recall.
Tri-County, for the second time this year, was playing Indianola Academy in the first round of the 4A playoffs.
Okay.
It was a first-round matchup. That's the team they started off the season with, and Tri-County was able to get a 41-0 victory in the first matchup back in the first week of the season, and tonight's playoff game ended 35-0 in favor of Tri-County.
Okay. Tri-County, they had a loss. Tell me again, I think it was Adams County Christian. Was that who they lost to?
It was. 3 weeks ago, we went down to Adams County, had a 20-7 lead in the third quarter, and kind of had a second half collapse and ended up losing that game 21-20. And a pretty interesting stat is in the last 3 games, since that loss, Tri-County's outscored their opponent 126-0.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to comment, and you just beat me to it, that they haven't given up a point since that game. Oh, that's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
They've had 3 straight shutouts, and they've looked impressive, and they've been a different team in every game. One of the games, they were a heavy passing team. Warner really slung the ball around. A couple of games, they've really focused on the run, and tonight was one of those games where Coach Watson decided he didn't care if Indianola had 9 men in the box. He was running the ball all night tonight.
Yeah.
And Tri-County had five different running backs combined for 246 total rushing yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow. Well, Tri-County wins that game. They move on, and they play next week. Do you know who they're going to play next week?
We do. They, Tri-County, by losing that game to Adams Christian, lost the bye in the first week. The district champions get a bye in the playoff structure. So Tri-County will match up with the number 4 district champion, which is Clarksdale Lee, and this will be the first ever matchup between those 2 teams. So we'll travel next week to Clarksdale to play Lee Academy. First time the schools have ever played in the history of the schools.
Well, how about that? And that's kind of that's a pretty good little trip to Clarksdale. But best of luck for Tri-County next week.
Oh, without a doubt, and the boys are all excited. They hope if both teams hold serve, you're able to go and get the big win at Clarksdale next week. The semifinal matchup would be a rematch with Adams County Christian back in Natchez.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. Appreciate your calling in and give us that report on Tri-County.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Now you get to talk to our friend Will the Thrill.
Will.
Wow, George.
Good Friday evening.
Good Friday evening to you all. How's everybody doing?
Well, we're doing okay. We're doing fine. You're obviously calling in to give us a report on something. What have you got to tell us?
A couple of things real quick. First, our fearless leader, I hope he's okay as he's making his way back from, I think, Hattiesburg.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. One of the things he wanted me to talk about was the PowerPoint rankings that Dr. Dave Showers posts on the FNUTL website.
Okay.
And the reason for those PowerPoint rankings was I was wanting to look at an alternative way of how playoff matchups are set up. I know the MAIS does a PowerPoint rankings of their own, and the MHSAA goes back to the old traditional way that they do their ratings. So what I did, I took a combination of what the MAIS does, what the MHSAA does, along with PowerPoint rankings from the state of Georgia and Louisiana. I somehow combined it all together to come up with what I call the FNUTL PowerPoint rankings. And on that spreadsheet that I send you all every week, there is a playoff comparison with the traditional way it's done now versus the FNUTL PowerPoint rankings. And if you look at it real closely, they're almost similar with a few tweaks to it. So if you ever get a chance to go to the website, FNUTL.com, look for my Georgia mug shot, that I like to call it, and check those rankings out.
Okay.
And then the other thing was I wanted to mention tonight, one of the teams I used to do play-by-play for, the Macomb Tigers. Congratulations to them on their win tonight over Raymond. They clinched the Region 6-4A title with their win over Raymond tonight. So they will be the number 1 seed in that region, and they will be at home next Friday night taking on the number 14 out of Region 5-4A, which is Quitman. And also congratulations goes out to the Lanier Bulldogs as they made the playoff as the 4th seeded team out of Region 5-4A. They have to travel to Mendenhall next Friday night. So some local area teams from the Jackson area, at least one that I know of, has made the playoff. So congratulations to those folks as well.
Yeah, that is an accomplishment. It sure is. Will, it's time for us to take a break, but thank you for calling in and giving us that information. We appreciate it. And thank you for all the work that you do for Friday Night Under the Lights.
Well, it's that love for Mississippi high school football that I've had since my playing days at Proline back in the early 80s. There's no other state, no other planet in the universe that does it like we do it in Mississippi.
Absolutely. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. All right, we need to take a break. We'll be back in just a few moments with more Friday Night Under the Lights.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
And welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. George Broadstreet and Joel Norris, Chris Saxton, and others here for another, an hour and, 13, 14 minutes or so, talking about high school football in the state of Mississippi. One of the big games tonight that was not a playoff game was a game played between MRA and Hartsville, and we've got a report now. Joseph Craven is joining us. He's from Hartsville. Joseph, I haven't gotten a final score on that game. Tell us how that game turned out.
Well, it's my pleasure then to announce to you that it was a 31-28 Hartsfield victory over the MRA Patriots tonight.
I've not heard that. Man, that's huge.
It was huge. So this was the end of the regular season for the NAIS 6A this week, and the playoff positioning was pretty much locked in place. MRA, the number 1 seed, Hartsfield, the number 3 seed, Jackson Prep, number 2. And going into this game, it was a little bit more of Hartsfield was coming off of a loss to Jackson Prep last week that would have given Hartsfield the number 2 seed. So the Hawks were looking to basically send a message of, we're not done yet. We're still a part of this. We are still a competitor in the NAIS 6A. And they did that tonight. It was a hard-fought game, but you could tell these were 2 great football teams going head-to-head the entire game. Ended up being tied 28 28. Late in the game, both teams had some opportunities, and with under a minute to go, cornerback Hudson McIntyre of the Hawks tipped a pass that linebacker Chris Jones picked off to set up a game-winning field goal by kicker Connor Mullins as time expired. And that's how Hartfield got the victory.
Wow. How long was that field goal?
Oh, I think I blacked out when he did it. I don't know if I could. It was, I want to say it was about a 35, 40-yarder.
Okay, so it wasn't just a gimme, though. So it was of some length. Okay.
And it was also it's kind of a redemption moment as well, because both Mullins, the kicker, and Chris Jones, the linebacker, had some performances that didn't meet their standards against Jackson Prep last week. So for them to come up with the biggest plays of the game towards the end, I think was kind of it was a storybook moment in a way.
Wow, absolutely. And what was that game? That was at Hartsfield, correct?
It sure was. And,
okay.
And keep in mind, we don't have an S in our school's name. I do.
Okay, Hartfield. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm reading Russ's handwriting, which is kind of one of those things. But anyway,
God bless you for doing that. Yeah.
I know that. But that game was at home for the Hawks. Okay. So I'm sure the crowd goes crazy.
Stormed the field. Thankful that the MAIS doesn't issue fines for that because we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But no, it was an electric atmosphere. Community Bank Field in Flowood on our campus is a really unique environment. We're a young school, and so we inherited some older infrastructure that we've been trying to work on and trying to make our own and improve. And I tell you what, it's just made it into a really kind of a close-knit, fan-friendly environment, even for visiting teams. I have a lot of visitors come in and tell us just how much fun it is to be there. So it's a good place to catch a game on a Friday night.
All right, so explain this playoff situation. Who does Hartfield play in the playoffs now?
So the 6A only has 6 teams in it, which is as bizarre as it sounds. And the 1 and 2 seeds get a bye. So MRA and Jackson Prep have locked up byes for next week.
Okay.
So Hartfield being the 3 seed will go up against the 6 seed, which will be Presbyterian Christian out of Hattiesburg. Okay. And that's notable because PCS pulled off an upset against Hartfield at Hartfield earlier this year.
Yes.
So that's the Hartfield first round matchup. So it'll be interesting. It just doesn't get any easier, that's for sure.
Well, who will also be in that bracket? In other words, you played the 3 and the 6. Mm-hmm. Who else is in that side of the bracket?
That is the Jackson Prep side.
Okay.
So winner of Hartfield PCS will play Jackson Prep. And, now that I'm saying all this, I'm hoping I'm not getting anything mixed up.
Okay.
But I believe that is, because Jackson Prep did beat PCS tonight.
Right.
So PCS would be the 6th seed. And so Jackson Academy and Park Lane will play each other as the 4 and 5 seeds next week. The winner of that game goes up against MRA. Uh-huh. And can't imagine that it's going to go well for whoever has to go up against MRA in a couple of weeks after coming off the loss.
Okay, Joseph, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it and appreciate the information. Sorry we had not announced that score before then, because that's a huge score. 31-28, Hartfield.
You don't have to apologize. I had a lot of fun being able to announce it myself. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thanks, Joseph. We appreciate the report.
Of course.
Harold, you visit with Harold for a moment, please. He's been on hold.
Yes. Harold, how are you this evening?
Not doing good, guys. Another heartbreaker for Pebble against, from what I saw, a good Warren Central team. They've got an outstanding running back, that number one guy. He's a good running back, and it was another heartbreaker. But we, like the man from Warren Central said, which I would have got to meet Reese and them tonight, but I didn't. But that's something. But we like you said, it was 7-7, and then we went up 14-7. It was 14-14 after half. Pebble comes out and gets the second half kickoff, and then Warren Central goes down and scores. It's 21-14, and then it goes right into the fourth quarter, and then it's just Warren Central, and they win it 31-21. So.
Well, and talking to, I believe it was Brandon Davis who was giving us the report for Warren Central. He was very complimentary of Petal, just talking about the talent that Petal has, the coaching that they have, and it's one of those things. It's just, I guess sometimes you have seasons where, you just you play well, but you don't have a whole lot of W's to show for it.
And guys, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be right back with the same compliment toward Warren Central. They have got a good ball club now, and it's just like Brandon said in the standings. You've got Brandon at now 8-1, 5-1. You've got Warren Central at 8-1, 5-1, and you've got the Oak Road Warriors at 8-2, 5-1.
Right.
Then you got Northwest Rankin. So those games next week are going to have a major implication on it. But Brandon, plays Pearl, which Pearl could pull off an upset. Do not count Pearl out of this. I mean, Pearl they've got a young squad, and they could really to pull off an upset. Then you got, of course, Meridian and Northwest on Thursday. That could play in. If Meridian, I don't know if Meridian could squeeze in. I think Northwest Rankin has got that set. But then you got Oak Grove and Meridian was taking on Warren Central. I'm sorry, guys. Oak Grove goes to Northwest Rankin. And that game right there could be for 3 and 4 in the seed. And then, guys, you do not, and I repeat this, do not want the Ocean Spring Greyhounds. They beat Gulfport 58-33 tonight.
Yeah, you don't want to take them. Harold, thanks for the report. We got to run. We've got some other callers to get in here. But thanks for the report on Petal, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
And we'll talk to y'all next Friday night. We can play Terry on Thursday, but we will be calling it in next Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the report, and we'll talk to you next week.
Ray Coleman.
All right, Ray, Sugar Ray, calling in for the Clinton Eras. Tough assignment tonight. Have to go to Tupelo.
Yeah, man, I'm driving through Scoreboard right now. You know what it's like when you've been at work all day and like you text your wife or you call your wife, you can tell that she's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And by the time you get home, it's one of those things you're like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. That's what it felt like. I'm just being real about it. That's what it felt like from the word go, man. 35-7 that final, and that 7 came in garbage time where we had a scoop and score for a touchdown, a turnover. Let me tell you something about Tupelo, guys. Tupelo has not allowed a point at home all season. So those 7 points that we got tonight, we forced a turnover. That's the first time anybody scored points against Tupelo at home.
Wow.
That's how good they are.
That's really hard to believe.
Unbeaten on the season in regional play and just overall, man. They're probably, the best team in the north half of 6A. They're a force to be reckoned with. Offensively, they're explosive. And they just dominate, man. There's no way around it. I think if you ask head coach Judd Boswell, he would say the same thing. They just dominated the game tonight. And we have to find a way to be prepared for them when we play them again in the postseason. We're granted that opportunity. We play Murray next week, and so if we win that game, we lock up the 2 seed and reach the 2-6A. So they're still in good shape. We can still host a playoff game in round 1, but it's just a matter of getting to that point and then figuring out what you can do moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to say Tupelo, I mean, they've been just, they've kind of, in a way, they've sort of flown underneath the radar. They've just really gotten a lot of attention in the last few weeks, but that's a very impressive team.
Well, I don't know how they fly under the radar. They allow 5 points a game, but they also lead our region in total points scored and points per game.
Wow.
I think they had 3 guys that had like 50 yards receiving or more. They have talent all across the board, and it's young talent. They have a great mixture of senior leadership but freshmen and sophomores who are impact players right now, like guys who start right now. So they're going to be a force, not just this year, but for the next 2 or 3 years to come, man.
Yeah.
Very impressive team up there in Tupelo.
All right, Ray, thank you. We've got to run at the top of the hour break. Appreciate the report. We'll talk to you next Friday night.
Absolutely, man. Y'all have a great one.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we need to take a break. We've got another hour of Friday Night Under the Lights coming up, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
With my Cricket plan, everything is consistent. It's always going to be the same price. No worries.
Cricket is easy, it's affordable, customer service is top-notch. That's why I've been with them for so long.
I got my phone from Cricket and it's amazing. As a journalist, I use it for basically everything.
Great phones, great deals. Now that's a story. Smile, you're on Cricket.
When you hear the words blue sky, it means clear sailing. When you stop at a blue sky convenience store to fill you or your vehicle up, it'll also be clear sailing. Fuel at competitive prices and a total convenience store with the beverages and your favorite foods that you'll come back for. When you stop at Blue Sky, it means clear sailing. Blue Sky wants you to have a great holiday season and hopes that you enjoy today's game. Blue Sky, fast, fresh, and friendly.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Get your school on the network now.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. George Broadstreet, along with Joel Norris, Noah Crow, Chris Saxton's our engineer, and Ty Bailey's working the phones. And we're here for another hour. We really had a good first hour
of talking to a lot of different people about high school football in the state.
Yeah, it's been really entertaining so far.
Been very entertaining, and we're going to have your report on 8 Men at 11:30.
Yeah.
So you stand by for that, and we've got a caller on the line.
John Weaver.
John Weaver calling in, I believe, from MRA. John?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, tell us about. Oh, we're good. We're fine. Tell us about the ball game tonight. That we just had a report from Joseph Craven about that game, but tell us about it from MRA side.
Man, it was a great night of high school football. Tip your hat to Hartfield, and to give I guess one of your sponsors, Cricket Wireless, when that ball was kicked by their kicker from 40 yards out, you could hear a cricket on our sideline. So we needed Cricket Wireless to make that ball go right a little bit. But anyway, it was a great high school football game. Huge kudos to Hartfield. The last 2 years, they've beaten JA, Prep, and now us. So I told their head coach, Craig Bowman, he goes, this win really didn't mean anything. I said, yes, it did. It meant everything for your program standing and what you're trying to build something on. And so don't ever say, win's a win. And, they're the number 3 seed, Prep's the number 2, and we're the number 1 in the conference. But, what a high school football game, and we get next week off and go back to the drawing board, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you, MRA has played, I think is that their 12th, is that your 12th game?
Yes, 12th game in a row.
Yeah. So you probably need a break, don't you think?
Yeah, much needed. Much needed. Look, you're not going to win every ball game that you want to go out. And look, we get that stuff, but it's, you're dealing with high school kids and high school kids' emotions. And I was telling one of our players, like, Coach, it seems like everybody we play, we get their best. And I said, we are.
Right.
You're going to get somebody's best every Friday night. And tonight they were better than us. And we'll go back, go watch film, and get better. You got the second season is the postseason that's about to happen. And lose, go home, win, you stay in.
Well, the fortunate thing about being the number 1 seed and having a bye, really none of your, kind of overall objectives as far as like winning a state championship, that's still within reach.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The ultimate goal of any team when they start any season is to win a state championship. Those are definitely there for us, and still, we win the conference still. So all those things are in line. Just got to bounce back from a loss to a very good Hartsville team.
Okay. Well, we look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for the report.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Tommy
Chris,
Barnett with JA.
All right. Tommy Barnett from Jackson Academy, who was playing Park Lane tonight. Tommy, tell us how that ball game turned out.
Yeah, guys, actually just pulling back into Jackson from Macomb. Another great football game for JA. Kind of finding their rhythm right now, guys. Went down to Park Lane. Really the only game tonight in 6A that had high stakes. The winner of this game gets the 4 seed. If JA won, they play Park Lane at home. If Park Lane wins, we were going to be going right back to Macomb next week. Guys, JA dominated the first half. 12-0 at the half. Took the opening kickoff. Drove 60 yards in about 6 plays. Went up 7-0. A couple of possessions later, Park Lane punched the ball in their own territory. Snapped over the punter's head for a safety. And then Jay tacked on a field goal late second quarter. Jay held Park Lane to 45 yards total offense in the first half. Third quarter, it was all Park Lane. Park Lane had about 165 yards in the third quarter, scored 2 touchdowns to go up 13-12. And then early fourth quarter, I think they kind of exchanged punts back and forth. JA takes over at their own 10-yard line with about 3.5 minutes left. And Clayton White, our senior quarterback, guys, going into that last possession, he was 5 of 18 for 109 yards. Not a great night. He got 3 of 5 on the final drive for 90 yards. Jay scores with 2 minutes and 53 seconds left. Goes for 2, goes up 20-13. The defense stands, gets a 6 on Park Lane's last possession to win 20-13 and secure the 4th seed to play at home next week against Park Lane again.
Wow. That's kind of, you hardly would ever play the same team back-to-back weeks, but that sounds like, JA found a way to win on the road.
That they did, and, really kind of had probably our best offensive night of the year. Had right at 200 yards passing and right at 150 yards rushing. And, of course, we know what the defense is.
Yeah, well, so they'll have Park Lane next.
Momentum.
Right. Well, they have Park Lane next Friday night in the Brickyard. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we're fortunate to win that. Then we get to travel up Old Canton Road to see our good friend Don Weaver and Herbert Davis, MRA.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for that report, and appreciate you calling in for Jackson Academy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. So we're caught up on our callers for the moment.
We have two more on, but we probably need to get in our segment here on cricket
Okay.
about our deals, and then come back to Granny
Okay.
and Isabella.
Noah Crow has joined us, and we're gonna talk basically about the
Cricket Wireless.
The Cricket
Player
Wireless.
of the Week.
Well, you understand it, so you talk to Noah.
Last week we had an 8-man quarterback as Player of the Week for Cricket Wireless, and
Right.
DJ Biggs from Christian Collegiate Academy. And Noah's just been doing this, for the past 2 weeks. He's been working really hard at it. He's been talking to me, and we've been having conversations about so who do you think should be Player of the Week? And I'm like, hey, you got to vote on it. You're the guy for it. So Noah, talk about who we got for Players of the Week this week.
In week 8, we had Terry Cox from Provine. Defensive end, he had 13 tackles, 4 tackles for losses, and 3 sacks versus Holmes County. In week 9, we had Prep senior quarterback. Paxton Thomas, he's had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 passing, completed 14 of 22 passes, 265 yards, and ran for 9 times for 43 yards and 2 scores. Those were the players of the week. And if you'd like to nominate a player, go to our website at FNUTL.com or send me a message on Twitter or Facebook.
All right.
Nice. Those are some great stats right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you go? And I know Russ used to do this. Do you go and actually give the award, or do you do that another way?
Usually the cricket, whoever the cricket store manager gives out the award. But today I went to the prep one.
Okay.
And the prep one was the massive pep rally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they had a pep rally tonight for PCS, but
in Hattiesburg, yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us again, Noah, if you wanted to nominate a player of the week, how do you go about doing that?
If you'd like to nominate a player, go to FNUTL.com or send us a message on Twitter. Send me a message on Twitter or Facebook at Noah Crow.
Noah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know all of that stuff. So how you do it on Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm going to send out a message tonight, so you can comment down below, or you can send me a direct message on Twitter or Facebook.
Okay. Well, I assume people that know how to do
Facebook and Twitter on social media, yeah.
Are we just getting old, George, at some of this stuff?
No, we're not getting there. We are there. We are there. But we're in better shape than our cohort, Russ Robinson, who is
just slightly older
and just couldn't make it to work tonight. But he's been working really hard.
Yeah, he has.
And he's probably listening. So
and just be sure to follow Noah on Facebook and Twitter. And to get more info on the Cricket Wireless Players of the Week.
Players of the Week. And tell us again the Players of the Week for this past week.
It was Terry Cox from Provine.
All right.
And Jackson Prep senior quarterback Paxton Thomason.
All right. So we'll have those every week, I guess, for the rest of the time that we're on the air. We've got 4 more weeks, and so we'll be giving those out. And Noah, appreciate your time and appreciate you telling us about that.
So, how about talking to Isabella about Vicksburg?
Okay, Isabella, you're calling in about Warren Central.
No, Vicksburg.
Oh, Vicksburg.
Is it Vicksburg?
No,
I'm Warren Central.
Yeah, Warren Central. That's right.
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
Slap me in the face.
Last time you called us, you were calling from Utah. Where are you tonight?
I am close. I am in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Oh, okay. That's not that far away.
No, and last week, I told Ty I had a story. Last week, I was watching the WSN game of the week, Oak Grove and Brandon, and I fell asleep at halftime. And I didn't wake up till like 11:55, and I thought, well, so I had to listen to the show, to the rebroadcast. I listen to every game.
Okay.
And so I am sitting here. I watched the WSN game of the week tonight, which was Tupelo and Clemson.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Tupelo is the real deal. They look really good, but they really had a letdown tonight, I got to say. They just flopped on this.
Yeah.
They have outscored their opponents on the blue field 193-7. They gave up their first point.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. Ray Coleman said Clinton got those 7 points, but they got it on a scoop and score on the defense. So the offense didn't score. So,
right.
But Warren Central, your team got a really good win tonight.
I see that.
Yeah, they beat.
That was I consider that a quality win because Petal, Petal is a team that seems like they just haven't had quite enough breaks to go their way.
Yeah.
Here and there and stuff. They're what, 4-7, 3-7,
Something like that. Yeah, they haven't won a district game.
They could just as easily be a 7-1,
right,
6-2, something like that. It's just the cards hadn't fell for them this year.
Yeah.
And so, but I was very pleased to see Warren Central win and everything, and I'm kind of looking forward to how everything plays out next week because you've got so much. You take Pearl and Brandon. Now on paper, if you look at it on paper, Brandon should not have no trouble with Pearl on paper, but that's why they play the games, And so you can throw a lot of your statistics and stuff out the window with that rival because
right.
As the crow flies, 3.5 miles apart and everything. So that's going to be a really good game. And then, it's quite possible Warren Central could end up in the driver's seat. I don't foresee it, but hey, stranger things have happened. So.
That's right, Isabella. Thank you. We've got to run. The music's going, but thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you another Friday night. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. All right, we'll be back with more Friday Night Under the Lights in just a moment.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
People who come to Cricket, stay with Cricket.
I love how Cricket has no hidden fees, no hidden charges. It's just predictable.
With Cricket, I can stay in touch with my grandson as much as I want without being concerned that my bills go up.
The 5G is like fast. It makes sharing photos of our projects and video calls super easy.
Switch for the speed, stay for the savings. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Every day at Malone, we exist to improve our community, embracing technology, empowering people, striving to be better than yesterday. Malone Roofing Services and Friday Night Under the Lights have been impacting Mississippi for decades with the skill and dedication that has developed lasting relationships in our respective fields. For roofing, metal walls, and maintenance, Malone Roofing Services has you covered. Find out more on social media and at ecmalone.com. But for great football, it's Friday Night Under the Lights.
Get your school on the network now.
I started at 23 with nothing but me. And I believe roofing should be a profession and a career. Generations of Malones have proven that there is nothing we can't accomplish. Malone protects people and your things that matter most.
A good win for them.
Absolutely.
Hazelhurst, Raleigh, Region 4 1A.
got
power. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's
off for this week, but we'll be back next week with more Friday Night Under the Lights.